Now we're on the home stretch. We've got a couple of things to do here. First thing I'm going to do is just put these cable ties in here. These cable ties are just for cable management, really. So there's a number of little slots that you can see in this part. So there's 5 cable ties. Just slot those through there. Now these ones down this side are a little bit more difficult to put in place. The gap that they've got to come through is a lot smaller. So what you'll have to do is just grab your cable tie and in this orientation, just grab that end and give it a little bend like that. And then when you slide it into this slot, that should come through that side easily. There's one. Again, little bend. Now these cable ties here actually hold on this part, which is a little guide rail for all your wiring as it goes back down into the machine. So there'll be the wires from this and your hot end and the extruder all routed down here, down into the machine, and then loop back around to the electronics. Might even just put a little bit of tape on them. The last thing we've got to do is just assemble these little components for the lead screw. They sit in this slot here and push the Z-axis up. As the lead screw spins around here, the nut sits in here and forces the Z-axis up. So I'm just going to take these parts, put them together like this, and again, I'll just take a little bit of the ABS filament, pop that in these holes. Grab this other one, do the same thing. Grab my little bit of cardboard again to sit those on so we don't make a mess, and get the PVC primer and dab those on there, and I just want to get it soaked in into the whole part there, and we'll just let those sit and set for a few moments. Okay, so they're reasonably well set, and I'm just going to trim these. So now these need to fit right in these slots and be a loose fit. It needs to slide around. So what happens in here, I'm just going to make sure that they're aligned so that they're nice and flat across there. So what this allows is some lateral movement in the lead screw without translating that into the part. The last thing you want is your Z-axis to start wobbling around like this as the lead screw is pushing it up. So this just allows a little bit of movement in that lead screw, or it just takes up that tolerance of the movement in the lead screw. So it needs to sit in this slot really snugly, but able to to slide around. At the moment I can't even push it in. So I'm just going to grab a piece of 180 grit sandpaper again and just work it down to the point. Just work it down to the point where it can slide easily in that space. Just want to check it every so often. Oh yes, that's really close. So now you can see that that slides quite freely in there, wobbles to and from side to side. I might just give that a little bit of a brush up as well. So it needs to slide in and out relatively easily as well, which it's not quite there yet. Now you don't want too much slop in this system, because if it gets too, if there's too much movement, you'll introduce backlash into the system. Backlash is where if you turn the lead screw, that it doesn't drive the part up immediately because of the movement in all of these parts. So it just means when the software tells the Z-axis to move up 0.3 of a mil, for instance, if you've got 0.1 of a mil slop in that system, it only moves the Z-axis up 0.2 of a mil, which is no good, because then you'll have variability in your Z heights. So this is still a little bit off. That's much better. So no movement in the Z direction, but free movement in every other direction. So I'll do the same for this other part. Okay, so now you'll see there's another little hex pocket in there, and it's just the right size for an M5 nut. That nut needs to be facing downwards, sit in there like this. You can see from underneath, the nut sits in there like that. So I'll grab that, put that one in there, nut that side, it's going to face down. Just to hold this all together, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape over the top of that. Now this part is complete.